This is the Farm Hop Life podcast, a traveling homestead family. I'm Matt DeRozier. Tonight, my guest is Zach at Victory, Illinois on Twitter. Zach lives with his wife, Elise, and their two kids in the Driftless region of Wisconsin. They raise alpaca, pigs, chickens, and goats and are learning on the fly. That's nice that your wife lets you live with her.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite things about her.
That's very nice of her. And you have like 6 pigs for sale coming up in October, so that's neat.
That's true. Yeah. Got a little bit of interest in them so far, but if anyone out there wants a pig, hit me up.
Okay.
Twitter.
So let's I'm confused. For some reason, I always thought you lived in Illinois, and obviously your sweatshirt says that you live in Illinois, but you're telling me you live in Wisconsin?
That's true. Yeah.
Blowing my mind right now.
So I lived in Illinois. I was born in Illinois, lived there as a kid for most. Well, yeah, I guess I was in Texas for a couple of years, but then back to Illinois, and then over to Albania in Eastern Europe as a missionary kid for a while, and then back to Illinois. Went to college at University of Illinois, which is where I met my wife and fell in love with Illini basketball, and then we went to Peoria, Chicago, back to Champaign before coming up to Wisconsin. So I'm what's known as a FIB, which the I, it's an acronym. The I stands for Illinois and the B stands for bastard. And I'll let you put the rest together. But that's something that Wisconsinites affectionately call people from Illinois. So I've moved up here, but I still carry a torch for.
That's funny.
Illini, yeah.
How did you settle in Wisconsin then? Why Wisconsin?
Good question. So my family is all based in Chicago now. We weren't from there originally, but that's where everyone kind of landed. And Elise and I were living in Champaign. Well, actually, I'll back up a little bit. We lived in Chicago, and we took a trip to Europe. I took my family or Elise and the kids back to Albania for the first time. Back for me, first time for them. When we came back to Chicago, it was the first time since we had lived there that we got back and like weren't happy to be home. Normally, it was always like, "Oh, sweet home Chicago," but this time it was like, "Oh, this kind of sucks." So we decided we were going to move. Kind of wanted to move out to the country, but weren't sure where. So instead, we moved to Champaign because it's cheaper to live there than in Chicago, and we thought we'll live there a little while we figure things out. We always wanted to stay kind of close to Chicago, at least like to where grandparents could come for a long weekend. So we looked around different Indiana, Kentucky. We looked at some places in Illinois, but things were generally more expensive in Illinois. Plus the property taxes are a lot higher there. So we landed on Wisconsin because when the pandemic started a couple years ago and Illinois had its first stay-at-home order, I panicked a little bit and ran to Menards and bought a bunch of lumber so that I would have something to do while I was at home for what at the time was supposed to be 2 weeks.
Right.
And I also listened to James Howard Kunstler's book while I was building a workbench with all this lumber. What book was it? Oh, Living in the Long Emergency. And he talked about the Driftless region of Wisconsin in the first interview in that book with Mark Shepard.
Gotcha. Okay.
That kind of piqued my interest. And so a month or so later, Elise and I came up here because Wisconsin was still somewhat open at the time. And it was our anniversary. So we came up here to check it out and just like, it was a quick one-night trip. And we kind of fell in love with the place. Like one thing led to another. We came back 2 more times and decided to move here. It's close enough to Chicago that our families can come visit, especially grandparents can come visit pretty often. But it's a beautiful area. Lots of deep river valleys. It's called the Driftless because there are no no glaciers that ever covered this region up. Unlike much
Okay.
west, the glaciers kind of scraped everything flat, leveled the valleys and the hills. And
Sure.
this part of Wisconsin, Iowa, a little bit of Minnesota, a little bit of Illinois got missed. And so you can be up in the cornfields and the horizon is relatively flat, but then you go down into these valleys and it almost looks like you're in Kentucky or something. It's really wild.
I'm trying to get an idea of where this is, because like I heard about this area of Wisconsin listening to, is it Peter Allen who has Mastodon?
Yeah.
Right.
He lives 10 minutes down the road from me.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That's
awesome. Mark Shepard lives 5 minutes down the road from me.
Dude.
And that was just a happy accident, but it's kind of cool.
I'd say so.
Great resources.
Did they put on the Doomer Optimism camp, or did that one not happen yet?
No, that did happen. So Peter hosted it. He did most of the work the day of, and I just kind of coordinated getting people there. So
nice. How was it?
It was great. It was a lot of fun. A couple of so let's see, there were people from Milwaukee, Chicago, Twin Cities. We had a group of maybe 20-ish plus some kids. It was just basically a one-day thing, and it was a lot of fun. We connected with some people from the area. So like the next weekend, I think it was my wife and Peter's wife and another couple that we met got together, and our kids played it up at the Dragon Park in Viroqua.
Nice.
And so got some new relationships, new friends that came out of it.
Yeah. Have you met Peter before this or no? Or Mark? Was Mark there?
No, Mark wasn't there.
Okay.
I met Peter a little bit before this, but in the context of, hey, we're maybe going to do this get together. You want to meet up and talk about some details? So I hadn't met him before the camp was an idea.
Okay. That's a good icebreaker.
Yeah.
Kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet.
And then Mark, I've met him a couple times at different thing down the road. There's a croquet club that plays every Friday, and I go there pretty regularly. And he's been there a couple times, so I run into him there.
Mark, you played croquet with Mark Shepard.
Yeah,
that's kind of funny.
Yeah, he's better than me.
I mean, he's probably just has time on his hands at this point, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think farmers really do that much.
Probably not.
Like
yeah, they just come on to podcasts and talk about trying to sell their pigs and stuff.
Yep.
So let's get into it for real. How did you get started homesteading?
Well,
do you call yourself a homesteader or a farmer?
I don't know. I don't call myself a farmer yet, but I will as soon as I sell these pigs, because then I will have a profitable farm enterprise.
There you go. I like it.
I won't feel fake calling myself a hog farmer. I'll qualify, but my Uncle Dave is a hog farmer, and so I always feel like, I got to be honest with myself, because we've got like real farmers in the family.
Imposter syndrome thing, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and it's just a hobby until
you make money,
a certain threshold.
Right.
But yeah, so we got into this. I don't know. The idea has been kind of percolating for a long time. Like, we got married 14 years ago. I should know which one it is. But I think it was 14 years ago. And got real into gardening kind of right away, but we were super poor, and the idea of actually buying land was like a pipe dream. So we didn't even think about it. And then, life took some different turns. We ended up in Chicago for a while. Not a lot of farming opportunities there, although there are some, surprisingly. I'd say we got into it when after we got back from that vacation to Albania, realized that so in Albania, like one of the main things that just was stunning to us the whole time is like the natural beauty of that place is off the charts. I mean, everything you know about like Croatia as a vacation spot also applies to Albania.
Really?
Greece, Italy, it's all the same kind of topography, and so it's beautiful.
Wow. Yeah, I'm looking at a couple pictures. Yeah,
So
it looks underrated.
Yes, yeah. Great place to go. It's not very expensive at this point, so
not anymore.
Travel on a budget, but anyway, yeah, being in Albania, coming back, I think kind of sparked a renewed interest for us in moving out to the country, being somewhere where it's beautiful, there's quiet, there's dark skies. That was a big thing. I mean, you can see behind me it's very dark, and it
looks like you're in front of like a black screen or something like that, like there's nothing. Super anon.
Yeah. Right. At least I don't have my face blacked out. Yeah, so we that I'd say that was the spark, and then kind of like I mentioned earlier, we kind of stumbled across this area and decided to take the plunge. I think the pandemic and our town in Illinois, Champaign, really shut down like hard. Like I know it varied a lot from place to place, but Champaign was rough. There's just nothing was open for a long time. I mean, the church that we went to there, I think is still not back to normal. And it's just like this. So that all that made it easier for us to feel like we weren't leaving really anything behind. The one thing we were leaving behind was a handful of friendships that had grown even closer over the pandemic, because they were kind of like our group, our crew. Right. But as far as the town or whatever, it was like, well, this place sucks now. It's a good time to try something new, and that's kind of where we got our start.
So you kind of did like a little bit of gardening while you were there, and then I mean, so how long have you been in Wisconsin then? Only a couple of years?
A year and a couple of months.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Man, you really stepped it up. If it's only been like, let's just say like a year and a half, and you have all that you have, what's your acreage like?
We have 7.5 acres. We've got a shed that is like, I don't know how big it is. It's pretty big. It's a third of it is portioned off for like animals. The rest is concrete pad, and I have my wood shop in there, but and my office for work. And then when we moved here, there were 3 pastures, maybe a total of 2 acres that were fenced with really crappy fencing, and the rest is pretty overgrown. And maybe a quarter of it is pretty swampy. So we don't use all of it. I've got the pigs in the swampy part now. They like it.
Do they just love it? Yeah.
Yeah. They are digging me a pond. So
turning the swamp into a pond. That's a good touch. I like that. That's is that something Mark Shepard would want, or am I thinking of a different guy? Who's the Austrian guy?
I don't know.
Sepp Holzer. That's what I'm thinking of.
I'm not sure.
But that's okay.
I'm familiar with him.
So I guess why? Like, what motivates you to grow your own food?
That's a good question. There's a like a little bit of a prepper kind of aspect to it. I wouldn't say that's the main driving force. I would growing. So for one thing, I just enjoy gardening. Although I realize I don't actually enjoy gardening so much as planting a garden.
The maintenance sucks. Yeah.
Yeah. It turns out I'm really enjoying having animals and taking care of animals. So part of it is just fun. It's a kind of a hobby, a big hobby. But as far as motivation for growing food, I think a lot of it is like I would prefer to buy like the highest, like pork from Acorn Bluff Farms. They're on Twitter, and they
they've got they're coming up soon. We got them scheduled, I think, for an interview. Yeah,
nice. So like I'd prefer to buy the highest quality food and eat that because I enjoy it. I think it's important to be cognizant of what we put in our bodies, and also how food is produced and how that affects the world. But I don't know, like I've got a good job and make decent money, but I don't know that I could justify to myself like spending as much as it would cost to buy like Whole Foods and boutique meats and stuff. I don't think I think it's worth it. But I don't know if it's just like I've just got this frugal sense that I can't bring myself to spend that much money on food or what, but I mean, it would really add up. So
yeah,
I think I'm loosely keeping track of our expenses with the pigs, and I think I'm easily going to come out to where the cost for the pigs is really low for the amount of food we get out of them, especially with selling some of these piglets. And the quality of the meat is going to be really high. Plus, I know that these pigs had a great time until the very last second. And so all those things are motivators for me.
Did you mention what kind of breed of pig they are?
I don't know if I did, but they are the ones I have are a cross between Mangalitsa and Duroc.
Oh, nice. Okay.
The Mangalitsa is the part I was really excited about. I was on the fence of getting purebreds and getting these crosses, and I got them from Acorn Bluff.
Okay.
And Keenan told me that maybe getting the crosses would be good as a first time thing because they'll get to wait a lot faster.
Okay.
And so the idea is I wouldn't have to overwinter pigs the first time around. And then I screwed up the shot that I was supposed to give the pigs when I got them home. Well, let me back up a little bit. So when I picked up the pigs, Keenan told me, it's like, hey, they might have been bred. They were with a boar, and they might be old enough. So if you want, you can roll the dice and maybe have piglets. And if not, I can give them a shot, and then you take this and give them another dose tomorrow. So I landed on like, okay, I'll piglets would be fun, but let's play it safe here. So he gave him the shot, gave me instructions, gave me the stuff I needed, and then I got back here and successfully injected one pig and screwed up the other one, and just decided, well, I'll see what happens. And what happened was she was pregnant and had piglets. So now I have to overwinter pigs anyway, but I'm looking forward to it. And I tell that whole story because I want to make sure that it's clear that it was my fault, not Keenan's.
Okay. Yeah. So this shot, is this like Plan B for pigs or something like that?
Yeah, it's a hormone that it's basically an abortion shot for pigs.
Gotcha. All right.
I forget what it was called, but
okay, interesting. I didn't know that such a thing existed, but I can see where it could be necessary, I suppose.
Yeah. And apparently 2 doses really are necessary.
That's why they give you 2, is because they're both needed. Got it. So with your setup at your place, like what kind of like practices, methods, or like techniques do you have? Like, do you like have like permaculture guilds, or do anything permaculture, like swales, hoop culture, anything like that?
Nothing like swales or any of the things you were talking about there. We are working on sectioning off our pastures so that we can do rotational grazing. We have 5 alpaca, and 3 goats, plus the pigs and the chickens. And so the alpaca are the main pasture animals, but we're going to try doing like concentrated mob grazing
Yes.
with them. I mean, our chickens are free range. We have 2 big livestock guardian dogs who do a great job of keeping all predators away. We've never had any predator problems at all in the last year plus. And so the chickens just wander around all day, and I'm sure we lose some eggs that way, but then they all put themselves to bed at night, and
right.
we even left the coop wide open at night, and nothing comes and gets in. We rotate our goats around to just do weed maintenance in various spots. We've got a creek that starts in our property right in front of our house, and then the ravine behind it is fairly overgrown as well. So we run them through there, and then kind of the other marginal areas of the property. And then the pigs just have a big area in the kind of the swampy end of the property where they live. So one thing that I'm starting to do is plant several apple trees, and then a few bigger like nut tree, like some oaks and some chestnuts, although I've been told that the chestnuts aren't going to make it here because it's a little too cold for them. So we'll see. If I get lucky. Probably not. But some hazelnuts. I'm loosely following some stuff that is in Mark Shepard's book for the kind of layout of the apple trees and the hazelnuts and the nut trees. Hopefully in like 40 years, I'll have some decent sized trees throughout the pastures and can run animals through, harvest, have the animals eat a lot of the stuff that drops from the trees, but then have something left to harvest for ourselves too.
I was just curious if there was a method to your madness. First question, is it weird being that close to Mark Shepard? Or is you just like, no, that's just a great resource that I have 5 minutes away?
Yeah, I mean, no, it's not. Most of the time, I don't even notice that.
He's just another guy.
Is there? Yeah, I don't run into him very often. I did talk to him last time I saw him at Croquet about maybe going over to help out for a day. I'm taking a couple of weeks off work to catch up on some projects, and thought maybe I could go work a day there. I think they're harvesting apples. Hazelnuts are coming up pretty soon. So I think that'd be kind of fun, and
oh yeah,
good opportunity to get to know him a little better.
When you said you were taking some of the fruit, and I think you said fruit and nut trees out of what Mark Shepard's doing, what kind of specific things did he mention in that book that you're trying to do?
Yeah, he talks about kind of a planting pattern of interspersing apple trees, hazelnut shrubs, I think raspberries and grapes in there, which I haven't started on that, and then larger like oak, chestnut. Yeah, I think that's about it. To create a multi-story kind of
okay, to get your layers of the canopy.
Yeah, basically like a food forest, but
gotcha. Okay,
relatively in rows, so that there's kind of a organizational structure to it.
Sure.
And that seemed easy to try, because I bought a ton of little 1 foot bare root whips at the county. The county has a tree sale in the spring, and it's like $25 or $20 for a bundle of 25 trees. And so
there you go.
I got 100 trees, and maybe half of them survived so far. I keep cutting them down because I forget where they are. Finally decided I should probably mark them.
Whoops.
Yeah.
Whoops.
But I'm only out $30 to $50, so it's not. It doesn't
You're
feel.
only out 30 to $50 today, but in 40 years, like you were talking about, you'd be out millions.
Well, I don't think about it like that. That would be a downer.
So what kind of things, and you can do, like, you can call back to some of like your experience growing food like in Illinois as well. What have you tried that worked well?
What have I tried that worked well? Well, I've had really good luck with both in Champaign when in our little backyard, and then here so far with these super cheap bare root trees and shrubs. They seem to be really easy to get going. Both
Because
Champaign.
they're already acclimated to the climate, or
I'm not sure. I mean, I should qualify this by saying, like, in Illinois and here, the soil is really good, and generally we get plenty of rain. So you have to be pretty bad at planting things and growing things to fail.
sure.
So that might be really my advice is, if you want to have a good garden, make sure to do it in Illinois or Wisconsin. But I've had good luck with raised beds. I've built raised beds with both in Champaign and here, and those have worked out really pretty well.
Can I ask a dumb question?
Yeah, go for it.
If you have such good soil, why do you do raised beds?
Uh,
And how high are your raised beds?
they're like 3 feet, I think. No, 2 feet high, 3 feet deep, 3 feet deep this way.
Okay, I got you.
It's easier to control the soil that's in there, and the soil that's really good for my plants and trees is also really good for weeds. So raised beds eliminate some of the weeding load. Stuff can't creep into them. Rabbits were a big problem in Champaign, and it seemed to keep them out. So
Gotcha.
I
Okay.
kind of wanted to try it, that's really the driving force between most of the decisions I make, is I just kind of want to try this.
Me too. I get how that goes.
Mm-hmm.
I was just curious, like, so then what did you use for fill in your raised beds? Did you just like take shovels of like topsoil and just throw it in a raised bed and keep adding wood chips or something like that, I guess, to retain moisture or something? I don't know.
In Champaign, I ordered some topsoil from the city landscape supply place. Here, I foolishly, I think you're going to ask me about what's not gone well, so I'll say most of the story for that. But I foolishly scraped off a bunch of topsoil where I wanted to plant my garden, so I had a big pile of that. So I just dumped that into the raised beds here. But
and that didn't work.
Now we've got compost from the chickens and alpaca, and so I'm topping. Actually, today I started topping off the raised beds in front of our house with that.
Nice.
So I think next year it's going to be it'll be great. Like, the only problem is it turns out the sun doesn't hit the front of the house until like afternoon. So everything you plant there is going to be like shade tolerant,
right?
Flowers. And then I put some trellises up the front of the house, and our beans and cucumbers have done really well climbing those. So they're coming out of the raised beds and going up the front of the house. They're tied into our deck, which is kind of off the front and side of the house. So at least we'll get some vegetables out of those raised beds, but mostly they're there for aesthetic reasons now, because they just don't get enough sun to produce a lot.
Gotcha. So the scraping of the topsoil to use in your raised beds, that didn't work, or it did work?
Turns out it's actually a bad idea.
Why is that?
Because when you want to plant a garden and you scrape off all the topsoil, there's not a lot left for the plants to grow in. So it worked
Where
well.
you scraped it from?
Yeah. Which
Okay.
was the garden.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you have like your regular garden, and then you also have raised beds as well. Got it.
Yeah. The regular garden's
Okay.
across the creek. And it's pretty good size. And that's where, like, our idea was like, that's where we'll plant a bunch of potatoes and tomatoes and stuff that we want to just grow a ton of and preserve. Like, we had a bunch of garlic out there too. And then by the house, we were going to have more of like the kitchen garden where it's like, we'll plant eggplant. We want some eggplant, but not 400 eggplants. We want maybe cherry tomatoes. We want some of those for salads, but we're not going to put up cherry tomatoes like we will with the paste tomatoes that we make sauce with. So that plan still holds. We just got to make a new garden in the front yard in a sunnier spot.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So we already touched on it. What hasn't worked well other than scraping, like robbing topsoil from your garden?
Well, that's a big one. So I was vaguely aware of using cardboard to compost in a garden, and like to kill the grass so you could plant on top of it. But I didn't do any research. I just took that vague awareness, and when we moved here, I said, oh, we got all these cardboard boxes. I'll save them and put them on the garden. So what I did was I laid them all on top of the grass in the fall, and I put like some branches and rocks on them to hold them down.
Mm-hmm.
And then what they did was they mostly blew away because I didn't put enough weight on them. And so I had trash all over. And then my plan B was to take the tractor and the brand new box blade that I just bought and scrape all the grass off so that I could plant. But what came up with the grass was most of the topsoil. So like there's still soil there, but it gets pretty rocky pretty fast. So
dang.
Yeah. So that was really stupid. And like none of our plants did as well as they should have, because they just didn't have enough to, I mean, there's that area over there is like the rocks are all sandstone, and so what soil is there is kind of sandy.
Sure. Okay.
So fortunately there's a horse farm down the road, and they can't get rid of the horse manure that they've got all over the place fast enough, so I can just go get it for free and
sweet,
and pile it on the garden, and I'll have tons of fertility in no time. But
that's an awesome resource as well.
Yeah.
Just takes time to recover, I suppose.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Man, if that was only your biggest failure, I think you're doing pretty good. Or like a notable failure, and maybe not quite the biggest, but
yeah. What else? We got these 2 livestock guardian dogs, and for the longest time could not figure out how to keep them on the property. We put them in fenced in pasture, but one of them can climb gates no problem, and so they're too big to really jump. They're not very athletic dogs, but the one can climb. So their names are Kofi and Georgie, named after 2 Illinois big men from a couple teams a couple years ago. But so Georgie's the climber. Kofi is kind of the I don't know. He's the hardest worker of the 2. And we put we tried doing the shock collar with the buried wire, except we didn't bury it. We just ran it around the fence, kind of around the top. So what we learned is that Kofi really enjoys chewing that and breaking it. And then Georgie just climbs out. So between the two of them, they were always jailbreaking Georgie, and we'd lose him so many. Like he'd get out. He wouldn't go far because he wanted to stay close to Kofi, but it took us many iterations. We tried all kinds of things. I fixed that stupid wire in the dead of winter probably like 20 times. So that was a painstaking process. We finally figured out that running just a hot wire along the top of the fence line and the gates was enough to keep both of them in.
Okay.
With the one exception of when we left a gate open, and turns out that they got out.
They noticed.
Yeah, they were gone for 2 days. That was,
oh my god.
You're pretty worried. Yeah.
Wow. It's kind of a long time.
Yeah.
Longer than anybody wants, anyways.
Yeah. Well, and we didn't have their collars on them either because they had recently chewed one off because they always are fighting with each other. I mean, for fun.
Mm-hmm.
So I was worried that they were going to get shot by someone. They'd be harassing someone's cows and.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose that's a watch. Mark Shepard shoots your dogs. Like, I guess I had that one coming.
I would have been surprised if it would have been him. Although
Why
I did
is that?
a story about him threatening to shoot down. There's these paragliders that guys will get on, like it's a motorized parachute, basically.
Okay, so they got like a big fan behind them.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Okay.
And they fly. They jump off the ridge up there somewhere, and they fly around here quite a bit. And I heard at Croquet a story about Mark that he called the police and said, next time one of those guys flies above my farm, I'm going to shoot him down. So the police came looking for him, and the neighbor, Kia, said, oh no, Mark's just talking shit. He's not going to do anything. So the police said, okay, well, if we had to come out because you can't just say that, but they left him alone.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Man, that's funny. Now I'm thinking like, man, when we hit the road next year, I'm going to have to like I'm already headed to Wisconsin area for to help some people out. Just don't know when. I'm going to have to swing by your place and see if I can check out Mark Shepard's place and then also Peter Allen's place. Like just hit up. Like,
yeah.
You're the third person in Wisconsin I've interviewed. Like you're the most out of any state so far. It's like
it's great
just like it's a great state that I was actually born there and I don't need to go back to live
but did you spend any time in the Driftless though?
I was born in lived. Where did we we moved when I was like 2.
Okay.
Like the Crescent, La Crosse area.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That is Driftless.
Okay. Yep. That's like the area I was born. So so nice. That was fine. Yep. Okay. I got that map pulled up. La Crosse is almost right in the middle of the Driftless area.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I don't remember where I was going with that, and that's okay.
Oh, you're gonna swing by when you come through the area.
Yes, gotta swing by because those pictures actually look cool. Like you were saying, it doesn't look like Wisconsin. When I think Wisconsin, It doesn't look like that. So yeah, it looks flat and boring in my mind.
Yeah, so. No, it's a super cool area, and right like in the county we're in, and then the couple just to the east or to the west of us. There's a ton of small organic farms. Like Organic Valley is a big national brand for organic. I think mostly dairy, but I think they do some other stuff too. Their headquarters is real close in a little town called Lafarge nearby. And it's a co-op. And so there's just like, this is kind of a hot spot for small farms, permaculture kind of stuff.
Sounds like it, yeah.
Pretty cool area, yeah.
Yeah. Man, it'd just be really cool to like, meet a lot of people in that area because it's just like seems like a hotbed, like you said. So
yeah. On a Friday, you can play croquet too.
Is that the one where you have? I don't remember are you trying to hit a ball through like a metal hoop or something?
Yeah, there's like 9 or I don't know how many, but it's the wickets set up in like a figure 8, and you work your way.
Okay.
You have a wooden mallet and a ball, and you work your way around the court. There's a lot of rules and a lot yeah, it gets pretty complicated, but that's the gist of it. Is you're hitting balls through.
I don't like a lot of rules.
Well,
when we go to Top Golf, whenever we go to like Colorado to visit some friends, I just smack the heck out of that ball, and that's good enough for me.
Yeah, I mean, you can do that. That is a strategy. Okay.
Would it be Mark Shepard approved?
I don't know. You'd have to just see what happens, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I'm surprised Mark Shepard hasn't thrown a croquet ball at those paragliders or whatever we're calling them.
Yeah, that'd be a safer alternative than bringing out the shotgun.
Or maybe he's got like a potato gun that shoots croquet balls. So, what has been the biggest challenge in homesteading that you faced?
Biggest challenge, I think, is not spending tons of money, because there's like tons of little challenges, and there's always a solution that you can buy, or at least, something that's marketed as a solution, and maybe it doesn't actually work well. But that's a great way to just like spend all your money really fast. And so figuring out ways to, I mean, probably the biggest specific challenge is keeping water accessible to animals through the winter, because it just gets so cold, and our solution is buckets and hammers to break the ice, but that's pretty labor intensive. So trying to like the bigger challenge there is that trying to figure out like a system that isn't crazy expensive but still works. And part of that is figuring out where to put the waterer. Part of it is just reading about every kind of solution for everybody's who lives in a cold climate is trying to figure out how to solve this. And I don't want to have like a real energy intensive solution that's going to drive up my electric bill. So one of the things on my list this week is to try to build a little passive solar waterer that might work most of the time, and then maybe I could like pour some hot water in there on really cold days to if it's insulated, maybe that will keep it from freezing.
Sure.
But yeah, just all that kind of stuff. Like there's always like something you can buy to like, I could buy a fancy heated waterer that's really pricey, and that's not the only problem I need to solve. So trying to figure out a cheap way to just solve all these little problems. And right now water is the one, since we're heading into winter, water is the one that's like top of mind.
Right. Yep. Man, I've got like 5 questions and I lost them all. There's the first question: what design are you thinking about doing for your passive solar water? Did you say solar?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The basic idea is that you have an insulated box with a window on one side, and then inside of it is your water tank, and it's got to be black or painted black, whatever, or so it traps heat. And or absorbs heat rather. And then you have access points so the animals can actually like get to the water. So what I have right now, I've got two things that I might use. One is a black tub that's kind of, I don't know if it's quite the right shape, but it's a good size. So I might try cleaning that off real good and seeing if that would be good as my water tank, and then building an insulated box around it. And I've got windows. Anytime my parents bought the house across the street and are renovating it and took out a bunch of windows, so I've got all these windows just stashed in every little nook and cranny I can store them.
Right.
So I've got the glass wall. I need to protect it from animals breaking it, but we don't have anything with, like, we don't have horses or cows that are gonna kick it. So
just goats that'll stand on it.
Right. They're little goats, so they
Gotcha.
they jump though.
It sounds like a cold frame, but for water.
Yeah, basically. And
okay.
And I mean, it's insulated on every side except for the one with the glass. And that's just trying to trap as much heat. Put that facing the south.
So the glass is actually facing, like, is on the side. It's not on the top.
Right.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
That is interesting. I have no idea how it works. I've never actually seen one. I've just heard about it. There's a company in a town near me that makes a thing called a geo drinker, where uses geothermal energy for livestock, like waterers. And
that's cool.
I have heard of one person that's had one for like 20 plus years and has never had an issue. And the person that I heard it from, like, they just bought one. So this specific person, I'm actually going to see him tomorrow. He's a general contractor that we do work for, and so I'm going to ask him about it, see if he's put it in yet, and if that was before last winter, or if he did it this year, so he's getting ready for like this winter. So, but yeah, I think I looked it up on the website, and there wasn't like pictures of it or whatever, but it had like a price of like $800 or $900. I'm like, you know what? If it lasts 20 years, that doesn't seem that bad for, like, if you don't have to have any sort of energy intensive input, like whether it be electric for like a stock tank heater, or I guess some other means to keep your animals' water from freezing. I don't know. It seems like a good investment to me.
Yeah. What's it called again?
Geo Drinker.
Okay.
I'll send you a link. I don't know if they ship. They probably do. It'd be smart if they did. If they don't ship, I'll bring it to you.
Okay. Sounds good.
I'm not cheap when it comes to transportation. I'll just tell you that.
All right. Well, fair enough.
Yeah, I'll send you a link. Actually, I'll even put it in the show notes, so everyone can share and know about that. What's the best part about homesteading?
Man, the best part. I'm gonna go ahead and say that the best part is having it is all the opportunities that this has created for our kids. We've got two kids, Elowen and Dominic, who are 10 and almost 6 respectively. And they, for one, I'm just living out in the country. They can just run amok and do, they play in the woods. They make up goofy games and use their imaginations all the time. And it's awesome. And I love when I can, observe them where they don't notice that I'm there, and just hear their ridiculous narratives that they're, they tell each other what's happening and then tell each other what to say, and it's great. but then they also like are getting, they don't realize that this is weird, but they're so comfortable with so many different kinds of animals.
Right.
They took over the chicken operation. We used to give them an allowance, and we kind of stopped doing that, but they used their allowance money to buy some chicks, and now they buy chicken feed and they sell eggs to us primarily. The grandparents come, they sell to their grandparents, but they do all the chicken chores. So that, you know, that's a cool opportunity for them. They got to see the piglets get born a few weeks ago.
Nice.
And it's just, that's not something you can really do otherwise. And, maybe if you have a pet that has like a dog that has puppies or something, you could have a similar experience. But that's my favorite part of this is just all the stuff that they get to do and experience and learn. And I'm excited for them. I mean, I love it. I love being out here, and I like taking care of animals. I like, one of the things that was on our list when Elise and I were talking about what, like we were making a list of like what are the must-haves and things we'd like and things we don't care about in a property, in a house. The top two things on my list were dark skies and quiet. And we live on a dirt road, and we can see the Milky Way more often than not. So we got both of those, and
there you go.
And it's awesome. Like, it's not actually that quiet right now, but the noise is bugs. So that hits a little different.
It does hit a little different. Yeah. It is. I kind of forget all the bugs from the Midwest because, obviously born near you, where you are now, and then like lived in Minnesota up until like 5-6 years ago. And so like you guys, the Midwest has so many bugs.
Yeah.
And it's kind of annoying. So, but right now I can't even see the mountains from my deck. I know, first world problem. But like it's so smoky. Like it's insanely smoky right here. I mean, it's like for the last week I haven't smelled it just because like I'm just like so used to it. But like today it like got way more intense. Like, oh wow, like weird that I can smell it now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. It sucks, but it's just part of living here. So,
well, get this. Nobody's going to believe me, but it's true. I mean, this is held for 2 summers here now. We don't have mosquitoes in this valley.
Okay, you're right. I don't believe you. It's true, though. That is a lie.
No, there's mosquitoes in this part of Wisconsin, obviously, but in our valley, we just do not have them. We have about like 5,000 bats that live in our shed, and I think a couple in the eaves of our house. But like in June, there's biting flies, and other than
what kind of biting flies? Like horse flies and stuff?
I think they're deer flies. I'm not sure.
Deer flies? Okay,
yeah. Expert. They're annoying though.
Big flies that hurt like heck when they bite you. Yeah.
Yeah, they look regular size, but they look a little bit more like robotic than the house.
Robotic.
Yeah.
Okay.
A little more evil.
A little more evil.
We were visiting. We went to some friends who have an old apple orchard, and we were picking apples the other day, and I got mosquito bites there, and I was like, "What the hell is this?" And I remembered mosquitoes. But
right, you just forget that they even exist until you experience them. Yeah, dude. If you're telling me that you live in a valley, like in like that is honestly one thing that truly sucks about the Midwest is, well, pretty much everywhere is the mosquitoes are just off the charts, and like we barely have them here, which is pretty sweet. But now you're making the Midwest actually sound kind of cool, which is hard to do.
Well, at least Higgins Creek Valley, or whatever this is called. Higgins Creek is the creek that starts here. I don't know if the valley itself has a name.
Okay, I'm gonna have to look that up.
Yeah,
I'm definitely gonna look that up. It's like, let's say someone wants to live in the Driftless, like, What's property going for out there? Like, do you have any idea? Like, is it like 10,000 an acre or something?
I don't know about just land. I think 10. Yeah, I don't know. I won't even say because I have no idea. What I will say is there's just not a lot for sale.
Probably for good reason. Nobody wants to sell.
Yeah, and there's not that many there's not that many properties. It's a sparsely populated area. There's a lot of farms. There's a lot of people have like bought up tracts of land to use as hunting properties.
Right.
We're close to big metro areas relatively, but like there's great deer hunting around here. So yeah, stuff is pretty pricey. It doesn't seem to have really gone up since last year. But there just aren't a lot of things on the market. But if you're the kind of person who could like move into a real fixer-upper kind of house, there's a few good spots. I check into Zillow every now and then, and there's some nice stuff. Actually,
I just pulled it up actually, and dang, there's some cheap. It's cheap. And like I'm looking, I just Googled Higgins Creek, and I don't know if like Wisconsin, I don't know if this is accurate whatsoever, but I just looked up then Richland County, Wisconsin. You can get 40 acres for 135,000.
Okay.
You can get some crap hole house. It looks like it needs some love, like a lot of love. 2-bed, 1-bath for 49,000. That's kind of cool. I don't know how big the lot is.
Where's that?
You can get Blue River, Wisconsin.
Okay.
And you can get like this 3-bed, 1-bath house for 65,000 in Richmond Center, Wisconsin. So there's, dang.
I should say, yeah, I was thinking of places with land, but yeah, if you're looking in town, I think there are some pretty affordable options.
I mean, yes, obviously with land, that would be pretty sweet. I'm not seeing exactly how much land you get for the $50,000 one. You get half an acre, so not bad.
Yeah.
It's something.
Mm-hmm.
So, man, that's kind of cool. Apparently, I'm moving to Wisconsin, so you talked me into it. My wife's not going to be happy.
One thing you got to watch out for is floodplains.
That's true. That is true.
Yeah, but still worth looking into. I can't speak highly enough about the area.
Did you guys have bad floods at all this year?
No, our valley is a pretty small watershed. But I don't even I think there was a one time that there was a bridge kind of flooded out nearby in the spring. There's been some really bad floods here in the last handful of years, but this year wasn't so bad.
Good. Well, that's good to hear, because it seemed like everywhere had like super weird, like 500-year like flood events or whatever. So so in your area, how did you find community? Being new to the area, how did you find it? And what kind of community?
So we've kind of found a few different places to plug in. Really I guess the first thing that we did, my mom met our neighbors and then told us we should reach out to them because they had a son who was our son's age. But my parents were up here when we were scoping out properties, and then we moved here, and they kind of caught the bug, and so they started looking around at properties, and so they met all our neighbors before we did because they were scoping the place out. Yeah, it was a little weird, but they're super nice, so that it worked out. So anyway, we met these neighbors up the ridge here, and turned out their son ended up being in our son's class in school last year, and we started doing just a weekly, like we had them over for dinner, and then they had us over, and we started doing like a weekly Thursday night dinner, and that that was like our first kind of foray into, actively trying to get connected to some people here. The croquet club has been actually a pretty great catalyst. Like that's where we showed up. We heard about it. It was actually mentioned in that James Howard Kunstler book that I read that led us to this area in the first place. We didn't mean to move down the street from it, but after we moved in, we realized it was right here. And they get together every Friday and play. And it's in the summer, it's like kind of just like a party, and in the winter, it's let's play a game and get out of here because it's freezing.
Sure.
But we just started going to that, showing up, and kind of hit it off with the people who are regulars there, and that we just went kayaking with some of the croquet folks last weekend, and then I guess the other avenue that we've found to be really helpful is the school. We have a great school district here. We're actually technically not in it. We're in the Richland Center School District, but that's 25 minutes away, and Kickapoo is 13 minutes away. And Wisconsin has open enrollment, so you can just enroll in any public school. So we enrolled our kids at Kickapoo because we didn't want to drive an extra 20 minutes a day. Sure. And we had heard such good things about Kickapoo. So that
it sounds ridiculous, by the way.
What does
the name Midwestern names?
Oh yeah,
Kickapoo. There's so many just ridiculous names in the Midwest. I can't take it seriously.
The river that runs through this area. But yeah, so I started going to school board meetings, and then kind of found out through that they were really hurting for substitute teachers. So was talking about that with Elise, and she thought, well, she's a stay-at-home mom, but our kids are in school. She could go sub. It's not like it'd actually be convenient. She could take the kids to school and drive them home.
Sure.
And so she's been subbing a couple days a week. And for one thing, like that's a great way to meet, school district folks, like teachers and whatever. But the other kind of fun thing is, like, we'll be out and about, and some kid will just come up and give her a hug, and that kid's parents don't have any idea who she is, but she's like, oh, I subbed in her class, or and so nice. It's a way to meet people, and you really get to know what's going on in the community when you get to observe kids in a school. Like,
yeah,
it's not always great. Like, there's some really shitty stuff that she has to see, and I think they had to call DCFS for a child abuse issue this week. But on the flip side, she was that kid's sub and got to be a safe, caring adult.
Sure.
For him. So that's been a pretty cool way to get connected. I feel like that kind of accelerated things for us, because we're really new here, but as soon as you're like vital to helping the school,
right? Yep.
You get accepted pretty fast.
No, that's a good point. To be needed.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
we're people, like, maybe not so like strongly word, but like, they have to come to you for something.
Right. Yeah.
But I mean,
it's helping out
on the circumstances.
Yeah. And we're so lucky to have like a really great district, and like I could go on and on about the different things they have, but like they have, for being a small school, like it's K through 12 in one building, and there's, I think each class is like, maybe 30 in a grade. So like classroom is like 12 to 15 kids. And they have the coolest shop class I've ever seen. And just like all kinds of stuff that we like about it. But having that, like we both feel like, well, this is a huge blessing that we've got this here. What can we do to help keep it so that, it stays amazing?
Sure.
And an easy thing to do in this case was sub for a couple of days a week.
So why is community important?
Oh man, this would be such a lonely lifestyle. I work from home. I don't like, I like my coworkers, but it is not the same to just talk through Slack or Zoom. And we're out in the boondocks. We wouldn't see anybody.
Sure.
I wouldn't see anybody. Elise at least goes to the store, but
Right.
yeah. So like, so that's one thing. I think it'd be easy to get to just drown in all the multitude of things that have to get done around the place. Like there's always a long list of things that ought to get done. There's always a shorter list of things that really have to get done. And without, connections to other people, it would be really easy to just kind of like burn out on pigs and gardens and whatnot.
Yeah.
But instead, like I go play croquet and then they say, hey, we're going kayaking tomorrow. And I'm like, well, that sounds way more fun than building a passive solar water tank. So let's do that.
Right.
And then I think another thing is like, for the kids, they need some avenue to like meet and play with other kids. That was part of the problem with the last couple of years in Champaign, is that so many of the avenues for them to interact with other kids were shut off. Fortunately, we had, a handful of friends who we could get together with, but they, Elowen, my daughter, has been, I think she went to like 3 or 4 birthday parties this summer, just kids in her class. They get to have a social life that's beyond just mom and dad, who are okay, I guess. But
right.
But yeah, just and also, not just other kids, but like our friends from the croquet club took Elowen and Dominic kayaking earlier this summer when Elise and I couldn't go because we had some stuff we had to do, but they just took the kids for the day and they had a great time.
Good.
Yeah. Now they've got other adults in their life who are just loving on them and trying to teach them how to kayak.
How is it? You said it was down like a creek or a river.
I was actually down the Kickapoo.
So like
river, yeah.
So they got the current. They can just kind of glide along. They don't actually have to like work that hard. Kind of, right? Okay.
Right. It's pretty easy. Basically you have to guide your boat because there's branches that come down and stuff in the river, but
sure.
But yeah, you don't have to work that hard to move. So
okay, I was just curious. Like,
and it's shallow, and so you can there's little beaches everywhere where the river bends, and
okay,
so
gotcha.
It's good for swimming too.
Cool.
Yeah.
What would you tell people that want to get started?
started with
Homesteading, gardening, livestock, anything. Like, do they read up on it? Should they overthink it? Should they just get into it and figure it out as they go?
I think the biggest thing is to not bite off more than your budget can bail you out of. I think biting off more than you can chew a little bit is okay. I do that all the time, and stuff works out or it doesn't. But when you take on something like that, you might have a, like, I don't know, even just buying a place is like, okay, you you have a mortgage now, and it's probably bigger than a regular house because there's some land attached to it. But just being acknowledging that a lot of things are going to go wrong, stuff's going to break, stuff's going to not work out like the tutorial video you watched or the book you read, and you need this cushion of like room for failure that isn't going to be really expensive and sink you. Because it's one thing if something if your garden just sucks for a year, that's okay. Mm-hmm. But if you I mean, animals are a little bit more tricky, because you don't want to just let them die. I'm okay letting my tomatoes die. I'm not okay letting my pigs die from neglect.
Right. Yeah. But you got to get out there.
Yeah. But like, if you buy some expensive piece of equipment that something goes wrong and it's expensive to fix, otherwise you have this just giant paperweight, that's not a good position to be in. So, yeah, I mean, basically have a good cushion in your budget for failure, and don't overextend yourself financially, because that's when it really starts to hurt, I think.
Right.
I'm okay with projects failing if it's free.
Fair enough. No, I get it. Yeah. I was just I rented an excavator for 3 days this weekend, and if nothing, like, if I don't do anything with all that dirt I moved, well, then I just played with dirt for 3 days, and that's kind of expensive. Yeah, I see your point.
Yeah. Yeah, and like low-tech solutions to things are really great, because when they fail, you're not out that much.
Right. Yeah, just go with the cheap and dirty and see how it goes. And if you need to upgrade, then upgrade. And
mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's a good answer. I haven't got that one yet, so I like it. So you've got 6 pigs for sale this October. Yeah. What else do you want to? Was there something that you wanted to talk about that we didn't get to, or something we didn't cover or touch on?
I don't know. I have pretty high hopes for the Illini basketball team this year. I don't know that. I think we kind of touched on all the stuff that we talked about. So
yeah.
I'm
not a sports guy, so any sports talk is just gonna go like right over my head, and my eyes are gonna roll back. But
that's fair. We all have our shortcomings.
I know, and with me being literally short, like that fits. So, well, hey, people can follow you at Victory Illinois on Twitter. That's the only one, right?
Yeah, that's it. And it's about to get pretty sportsy for a few months.
All right, I'll mute you. That's fine.
I do have a renewed commitment to post more photos, so hopefully that'll
farm
keep
stuff.
engaging. Yeah. So
All right. I'll just mute certain words from you, like
there you
whatever
go.
you said, Alina or whatever you said.
Yeah, you might want to mute Michigan.
Michigan. Okay.
Yeah. I saved most of my vitriol for Michigan.
Okay. I don't know how to do that, but I'll set it up. We'll figure it out. So, hey man, it's been great having you on. I really learned a lot, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
The area that I was born in and raised for the first couple of years, I didn't know any of that history. No one told me that. It seems like I missed out.
It's a
and
cool
I'm kind
area.
of mad. So, well, hey man, it's been good talking to you. I hope we keep in touch, and maybe I'll swing by sometime.
Hey, sounds great. Anytime.
Thanks, Zach.
See ya.
Bye. Let's see here. Where are my notes? My other notes. Here we go. Nope. Other notes. Other notes. Holy crap. Get your stuff together, Matt. Okay. There we go. Thanks for watching, everyone. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, and most importantly, share this video. You can check us out on Fountain FM podcast player. You actually earn Satoshis just for listening to podcasts, at least for now anyways. And you can tip your favorite podcaster, content creator right inside the app if they have the wallet set up. You can check out our website, FarmHopLife.com. You can sign up for our latest, you can sign up for our email list and Telegram channel there to be notified when new videos, interviews, and podcasts are available. We're on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, MeWe, and Float. You can email me anytime, matt@farmhoplife.com. We've got the 20 by 23 project coming up. Where we're going to help out 20 homesteads in 2023. You can learn more about that. I'll have a link down in the show notes. And to support the 20 by 23 project, we're selling shirts. This week's shirt is the Eagles shirt from Life on Milo's Farm interview with TJ. So you've got the Australian wedge-tailed eagle versus the American bald eagle. And the wedge-tailed eagle is more superior in just about every way. So, yeah, support the project. We'd really appreciate it. And I'm always looking for new people to interview. If you want to come on to talk about homesteading, farming, food security, homeschooling, regenerative agriculture, alternative building methods, or anything else, just go to farmhoplife.com/guest and fill out the form. Go feed yourself.